Sheesh.
Sheesh. I just can't.
Welcome back to the Scuffed Cast. Guys, we have a lot to talk about, which mainly revolves around a lot of anger, confusion, craziness, and upset that warrantedly is over probably the most controversial call in RLCS history, and I don't think I'm wrong about that sentence. And all of the craziness that followed that. And then we'll talk about some other things, but let's buckle in. We've got a lot to unpack with this one.
Yeah.
How we feeling, guys?
I'm feeling a pretty sad. That's what I tweeted. I just said sad after we took it to Game 7 with MV after the call. And if you weren't somebody that was watching, basically, it was an overtime that just started, and typical, his computer disconnects. You can see his screen blackout because you have player cams. You can see his screen blackout, and he disconnects, but it's right on the kickoff, and they get scored on. Supposedly, Chrome wasn't quick enough on the pause. People were claiming that maybe the admins were AFK and didn't see his message, and then claimed that he wasn't fast. But I'm not sure what happened there. They didn't accept it. We took the loss. We ended up losing, and not even because we were playing poorly, but I believe it was typical as well, playing with ping spikes up to 700. You could see his little ping going red. So the server was bad. It was a horrible call on the judgment of us losing the game. Somebody had said that the player wasn't in a position to make a play on the ball when you can clearly see him as the second man.
It was literally his job to touch
it. It was
that.
literally his job to touch it.
Yeah.
So a little TLDR on what's supposed to happen in the instance of this for anyone confused about, okay, a player disconnected, what's the big deal here? So it is, as we've all learned, we're being so educated on the inner mechanisms of the admins and how calls work in Rocket League as of yesterday through a lot of the pro players, because here's the thing, this is not just SSG upset about this. This is literally everyone. Literally everyone.
Everybody but Envy.
Everyone but Turbo.
Yeah.
Turbo's like, suck it, nerds. Turbo flicked your internet.
Oh God. No. So what happened is like Neato explained. He, on a kickoff, the person who would have been touching the ball DC'd. And there's a clip on the internet, there's a clip on many of the clips available on Twitter, where you can see it DC'd his monitor went black, he messed up, ping spikes, all of this. So Chrome, it is the job of the coach to tab out. And fun fact, we live with an RLCS coach, and this was tweeted about as well, and he tweeted about it, and all the coaches agree. Coaches can't watch live, they're not in the matches. So they're on a delay of the broadcast in the first place, but they're in the call, and it is the coach's job to tab out and make the admins aware if there's a problem. A problem, and Chrome did it within 4 seconds.
Yeah, 4 seconds. But the thing is, so they're not watching the game. So. And the mistake, the problem was probably only 2.5 seconds long. So by the time Chrome knew that it was even worth tabbing out and making a complaint about, it was too late, because that's how fast RLCS moves. It DC'd at the perfect time.
And according to a lot of the pro players and coaches as well, if you try to emergency ping somebody in the Discord, you'll get timed out or banned from the Discord because you're not supposed to admins. So it's all a whole process of, hey, I'm supposed to tab out super quickly in the immediate instance that something bad happened and alert the correct person in time for it to not be a permanent decision or a call. And so that's what Chrome did as a coach. What was also addressed in the midst of it is Envy doesn't have a coach. There are plenty of teams in RLCS that do not have coaches. And so it was asked, hey, what do you do in the situation that you don't have a coach? And Garrett G chimed in and was like, oh, hey, by the way, I was informed that if Sizz ever wasn't around or available to be doing this, that what you're supposed to do is a player who is also in that match is supposed to tab out in that exact same time window frame and let an admin know. But again, can't at the admin in the Discord, or you're probably going to get timed out and banned, and the whole thing is delayed. Also,
And
so
you have
there's
to like make the call. It's like, is it worth stopping the game
Yeah, is
for?
it worth
Because like
stopping the
sometimes a
game for?
controller DC is like half a second long.
Yep.
And it's like we can
And
overcome
it takes
that.
another second to tab out sometimes.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
it takes a
and
second to
tabbing
tab
out
out.
is
With my
so buggy.
computer, from whatever is wrong with it, when I tab, it doesn't do it with Rocket League necessarily, but when I tab out of a game, it actually blacks out another one of my monitor for like half a second, and it takes a second for everything to come up. But either way, like semantics aside, Chrome did it within 4 seconds. It is visually available in the clips and on the audio and the VODs, and if you were watching, and we'll get to VODs in a minute, but it shows you that it happened. You can see it happen. You can see his face go dark. You can see him DC. You can see the lag spikes. You can see it. The admins can see it. The people watching RLCS can see it. The players can see it. You rewind, you replay, you do all of it. You can see it. You see what happened. And so they decided to take a 20-minute intermission following this to go over it. A 20 minutes to go over literally what happened. And the call was Chrome waited too long for it, so we took the loss. Chrome didn't alert them quick enough, so we took the loss. And then they doubled down with what Neato said. They doubled down and said, and they feel right making that decision because the player, Sipical, who DC'd, who was the second man to touch the ball, literally his job, was
Best player
not
in the
in
game, by
a
the way.
position
Yeah.
to make a play on the ball. And in the words of, again, I don't want to take it away from anyone else. Twitter was a circus last night, and it was fantastic. But Rizzo quoted it and go, player was not in a position to touch the ball. Obviously, he DC'd.
Yeah. No shit is what he said. No shit is DC.
I wonder, like, for obviously there's a fundamental issue with the way things are run with the admins. I can totally see where they're coming from as far as sort of having those very strict restrictions. They want to have it be a professional environment and stuff like that. You're dealing with kids with really, really big egos because they're
Boo,
in a carnival
Neato,
game.
you're being too diplomatic.
No. I'm on the side of the people. I think the call was wrong. I think that they were too harsh and they weren't doing their jobs correctly, and they need to get checked. Like, they need to get seriously checked.
An ape could tell the call was wrong. I did 2 minutes of detective work where I went back into the VOD and was like, oh, yeah, you could see his monitor went dark.
Yep.
Unless
It's not even
typical.
The thing is, it's not even just his monitor. You can he didn't go for the first boost, which tells you how early he DC'd.
Yeah,
Oh,
he basically he had R2 held
input was
before
stuck, yeah.
kickoff, and
Yeah.
so he
And he just-
DC'd on kickoff, but because R2 was held, he autopiloted
Kept
forward.
going. I think that's what
You
they
know?
lacked. They failed to understand. I think they were thinking that
But it's
he
their
was just
job
right,
as
right, exactly.
Rocket League
They've all
admins
played
to
Rocket League
understand.
before. Maybe they haven't had those
An
types of things
ape,
before, but you
An
can.
ape could have told. Like it was so obvious.
And I'll say this, and it'll sound really cocky and whatever. SSG's earned this, so I don't give a damn. The thing here is it's not some team who didn't have the potential to win that overtime complaining about something.
Yep.
This is
They
Space
had the
Station
momentum.
Gaming. We
That
had
was
the
a
momentum.
huge
We
moment.
won the last
took it to
regional.
game
We won the
7
grid.
after that,
Yeah, and
which
it
was
wasn't.
insane.
Yeah, and it wasn't a game 7. This wasn't like the series altering thing. This was game 3. You know, it wasn't any foulness. It wasn't anything. It was genuinely an unfair call and an unfair play. It wasn't them being bitter. It wasn't them being salty.
There was
There's a sentence that was thrown out by Unit and that was thrown out by J-Ski and that was thrown out by a lot of things. What this lacks is competitive integrity. Like the whole thing. I don't care. I don't care if you're like, well, there was a half second off of this and there was this kind of this played. No, it is competitive integrity. Everyone knows that what you did was wrong and you made the wrong call. You made the wrong call.
It was so easy to make the right call. It
Yep.
literally started on a kickoff. All you had to do was like redo
Reset
the
for the
kickoff.
Yeah.
Because
Just,
like
it is
I
the beginning
understand
of the
if it was
overtime.
like
All you gotta do is redo the
Exactly.
overtime.
Yeah,
It's
we've
like
seen
so
Johnny Boy do it
easy.
I
a billion
understand
times.
if it was like mid like hustle and bustle and he
That would be
disconnects for
confusing, yeah.
like half a second and it's not on a kickoff, but he reconnects and it's like, all right, that's fine. That's just like dealing with like some average lag, you know? But like it was so easy just to be like, oh yeah, we're admins for this match. We'll just go back and
Seriously.
reset it from kickoff. It's literally a function in
Dude,
the admin
dude,
settings.
There was
So-
a tweet that somebody had tweeted out, and it said, space, like it was a couple of days before, and it said space station is looking too good right now. Psionics
Mhm.
nerf incoming, and then he like, I forget who it was. I think it was somebody on SSG. It might have been Max. I'm
Yeah,
not sure,
it was
but-
somebody on
Nice.
SSG.
I just thought that was funny. I was like, it kind of seems like a targeted attack against a team that isn't expected to take it all the way, and it's just such bad luck. And then of course, right at the end, Game 7, your teammates having ping issues. There's a horrible call mid-series. You take it to Game 7, you lose, and Reddles leaves before the clock hits 0.
5
You are-
seconds.
there
5
is
seconds
a-
before.
There's an automatic fine that happens, I guess, in the there's a bot that just finds you because it makes it difficult for them to track stats because you're not in the game anymore, and afterwards you can see the whole screen, but if you're gone, your stats are gone. So you have to go back into the game and try and figure out the stats. So that's why you get fined. But, and what I love about the Rocket League community is that once the news got out that Reynolds was fine, Rizzo came out and said he was covering his fine. Sunless came out and said he was covering his fine. Reynolds went live. He had a little
Oh, we
donation
threw
goal for
a
the
party.
fine.
We threw a party in Reddle's stream. It's the first time that man had streamed, and he still
Wow.
has he still has a peeps emote. We threw a
He has
party.
a peep- I'm sorry. It took me a while to process that. Holy fuck.
That-
He hasn't
Yeah,
had
he
a
needs to-
peep since
Yeah.
Vietnam.
Yeah.
Like, what?
So we threw a party
It's been a
in
while.
Reddle's chat afterwards because, like, again, it's unjust, and they didn't back down on the fine. They didn't back down on anything after the BS call. I get your black and whiteness for anyone going, that's in the rule book, actually.
I
Whatever.
understand why they had to find
I
him.
understand why they had to
Mhm.
fine him, but they didn't address anything.
I just think it's cool that people were like, I'm paying your fines, bro. Like, we
Yeah.
got you, man. Like that. I
But
mean, yeah.
on next level trolling, that will then go into everything that followed this initial call. Because honestly, I think there were steps in place things that could have been done to avoid the backlash that followed, that were the exact opposite of what happened.
Yeah,
But
idiots.
so as we do, because we're messy. And we love our Twitter drama and everything. Everyone came to Twitter. Everyone, literally everyone. Neato
Yeah.
and I never say anything bad about this damn game. And say, I don't want you getting mad. We never say anything bad about any of this. It was a bad call.
I
We
defend
tweeted
you
that it
guys
was a
so
bad
You just
call.
need to get checked. I mean, I have a lot of respect for people that run that production and that
I love
control it
them.
and everything. But you
Favorite
have
people in the
to-
world.
I hope that in some way they come out and say we were wrong
They need
because
an apology. That's what I tweeted.
They needed an
do.
apology.
It's like,
that was not in it. You can't just go back and change that now. We have a
Yep.
series. We have a
Yeah.
winner. Congrats to Envy. Yay, Turbo gets another freaking
Nah.
regional win.
That
Woohoo!
potentially
Like,
cost
eat a
SSG a lot
dick.
of money too. If we had won that, we would have gotten further in the regional, and that's a big jump
Yeah.
in prize pool money. I'm pretty sure.
yeah, it's like they
But-
literally like we're thinking about the competitive aspect of it.
Mhm.
They literally, it's like there's money involved in this. Like
a lot.
Yeah.
there's a
It's
huge
a regional.
chunk of change.
Yeah,
Also,
this is
doesn't
money for
this-
people's career.
What's it,
Doesn't
Veeds?
top two, the RLCS like championships that they're doing? Don't top two get like a first round buy or something as well?
This
And
affects
SSG
everything.
have been so in the major, SSG need to do really well, and Envy need to like just do terribly
Get
for
eliminated in
SSG
semifinals?
to finish second in the season to
Yeah.
get that first round buy.
Yeah. It's a mess, but so you kind of heard us say what could have been done, what should have been done, an apology and anything, an acknowledgement that it might not have been the best call, or a statement of why you're sticking with it, or a level of accountability. But
player was
instead,
on a path to make a play on the ball.
Instead-
Clearly.
Instead, the nuclear option is to actually make it look like you don't care and to actually make it look like you have something to hide, while in the midst of everything going on Twitter and people being like, oh, where's the clips? Can I see it? I wasn't necessarily watching this match. People went to go watch the VOD back while it was still live, and they disabled people from making clips from the VOD. And they were deleting clips that were being made.
They eventually turned the feature back on.
Oh, really?
But yeah, but before.
But it was the panic option.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were like, oh shit. It's like even their emergency protocol with it. I was like, oh fuck. You know what? Shit. You know, like one person like came in and was like, wait. You guys know I said we weren't gonna make that call. We were gonna do the other one. And they're like, oh fuck, I guess we gotta delete clips.
Because how does
It's
this
like-
look for you? How does this look for you? The whole internet thinks that you're in the wrong. The whole Rocket League community that supports you, that watches you, that does all of this thinks that you're in the wrong. Thinks that you did the wrong thing. And instead of just letting them live in their own fantasy, if you disagree and you're like, they're all in their fantasy world, it doesn't matter, we're the admins, we made the call or whatever. But instead of just letting them live in it or whatever, you make yourself look worse by making it look like you're getting rid of
You admit
evidence.
fault.
Yep.
You literally made
yeah.
it look like you were getting rid of evidence. Why would you disable it and delete clips if you didn't agree with the decision that was made? What did you have to hide in that?
I was about to go back in the VOD and record it with OBS and post it because they
Oh
weren't
yeah,
gonna let me
no,
clip it.
fantasticness. Sithmos was in my chat, and he rapid fired the second I was like, does anyone have a clip? Like clipped it and was like, here you go, downloaded it, got it downloaded, got it posted, and everything there. And then literally like 5 minutes later, they were like, we can't make clips of it anymore. Yeah, so like it was just a rapid fire, but it was a nuclear option, and I'm glad to know that they turned it back on later or whatever. But like, in what? There's no way to look good out of it. There's no way to go, hey, I righteously thought that nobody should take clips of the righteous, just decision we made. Like, how do you answer to that? You just don't, I guess, because they're not.
Mm-hmm.
I just couldn't believe it when when the broadcast came back on air and Wavepunk said like, oh yeah, so the decision's been made that the player couldn't have played the ball or couldn't have had any part in the play.
Have they
It's
never
like,
played Rocket League?
How has it taken 20 minutes?
Dude,
to
I
come
could
to
imagine
that
having to be a
conclusion?
broadcaster and go through that. Like,
Right.
I mean, they did a really good job. They just didn't address it at all.
Mhm,
I mean,
that's
I
what
can
we have.
imagine-
there's no way they could have.
There's
talked
nothing
about
they
it.
can do.
Yeah, I can imagine it's different when you're a gold player, you know.
Oh, did you guys hear what Subi said? Did you guys hear what?
Maybe they
Subi-
don't. Maybe they don't make plays on the ball.
Yeah.
Oh
Oh.
my god.
The
Well,
only
that's the
thing I
truth. A lot of
disagreed
Psionics
with.
is low-ranked players. They have
Oh,
a
man,
very
I'm just
small
saying.
amounts of high-level players that work for them because they're all very busy working.
Right.
It's
there's
understandable.
I'm just obviously.
It's hard for them to
She
put
was-
themselves in a high-level situation.
The
I-
ball literally went into the perfect place for Sipico
He
to
just had
play.
to turn left.
It's legit. SSG lost the kickoff ever so slightly into their half where Sip would have had the perfect.
And could you imagine it's
Position to
jarring when
challenge it.
in your comms you hear somebody's voice cut out or something like that, or you hear like, "Oh my shit just turned off," and you're about to take a kick off, like
Exactly. And it's like
you're like,
and
"What?"
the fact
And then
that it
you
was
miss.
scored on after that as like
You're supposed to stop playing too whenever someone DCs. So you don't want to keep continuing to play so that they will pause.
Yeah, and
can we
that's
just
the
get a
argument on the
DC'd quick
competitive
chat?
integrity.
Oh wait, we can't do that.
He
Yeah.
would be DC'd. so,
Yeah, no, like that's
we're
the
gonna make
argument on the
mistakes.
competitive integrity of it. Is like,
It wasn't
Ha-
even just anyone. It was Sipical, the best player on the field.
Well,
That
Ranny,
needs to be-
you're biased to
I am
Sipical.
incredibly
We-
biased.
We know this.
Nah, he is.
He's the
but
best player on the
we'll
field.
say
Typical
arguably the
fanboy.
best player.
Are
on
you
the
gonna say
field.
Sipical can't hit a very easy like
you
pass to
can't
him?
you can't
He
turn
can't
left on
turn
kickoff.
left. He can't half flip back.
Let's be real.
These are pro
All
players.
of
No
us.
one would have missed it.
All of us would have hit that ball.
Yeah.
All of us would
Even
have challenged that ball.
Trihouse.
At least touched it. Done something with it.
Even Trihouse.
Who's in the goal? Trying to
That's what
play
she could
me.
say that.
Yeah.
That's why she's got
This makes
every
no
right
sense.
to roast you.
Yeah. She's like, yes, this feels good. But no, yeah,
Say
it's
what
like,
I want.
it's,
I play ones more than
again,
you.
an ape could have made a play on the ball.
I just like it was the whole point of it, guys. The whole reason that we're yelling about it, the importance of it is that it was just it was a
It breaks your heart.
huge decision that was made that affects many
It does.
things, you know, like it affects prize pool. It is a literal competitive event, and it affects standings, it affects points, it affects any of this. And there's so many people who are like, well, SSG's still doing great and it was still the grand. It does not matter. Like the morale that puts them through. Imagine working your butt off. Imagine winning a regional, winning a grid, making it to the grand finals of or not the grand final, the semifinals of another regional.
Yeah.
They hacked us,
And then
man.
that
And
is
SSG
what does
played
it
like-
to you.
Played like trash.
There was
the next
money.
match,
There
too.
was money on the match. Somebody rigged it. Somebody rigged it.
Well, I do have a conspiracy theory.
Pog.
Let's
And that
go.
is that Rocket League purposely made the wrong decision to stir up drama and to bring attention to RL Esports.
They lost
think-
29,000 viewers in the span of 10 minutes post that call.
Really?
Yes. The grand
Well, but-
finals was aired to
went
under
back up, but it was like-
100,000 people.
Jeez.
The grand finals, yes, because we were still watching it. The grand finals was aired to 97 to 98,000 people.
And that's with NRG though.
And yeah, and that's with NRG playing in the grand finals.
Well, I just meant
Should've
like
made
the
the right
drama
call.
that it's going to be stirred up, and like everything we're talking about now is like, I mean, it was my tweet of the clip was the most successful tweet I've ever had on my Twitter account. And I told my mom, she's like,
Get
"Oh,
good.
well, it's kind of good this happened then." And I was like, "No, mom, I would have rather my team won."
I'm sorry, hold on. I'm sorry. The Rocket League drama explodes the tweet, and I just picturing Trihouse. Mom. I'm a
Well,
Twitch partner. I've got like
No,
70,000 followers on YouTube.
I have to record
I
from
had
my
a
parents'
viral
house
tweet.
now because of my
Yeah.
internet. This is the Scuffed cast. This
No,
is
don't
all
ruin
my
my
internet
fantasy.
can handle. This I can only record from my office with
Don't ruin my
for the
fantasy
Scuffed
here.
cast. It sucks. But yeah, it's cocky. Oh, but yeah, so I think there's that conspiracy
think-
theory. They did
I
disrupt
think-
drama.
There's another conspiracy theory. It's that Psyonix has it out for SSG for some reason because we're cooler than them.
We're so
That is
cool.
exactly the
I'd be
right
alright.
answer.
Yeah,
This was
nah,
the nerf.
I think that's it.
They were like, whoa, you guys, you guys aren't a top org. You're changing the script here. You guys got to stop being so good. And we're like, but we like Rocket League and we're gonna keep being good. And they didn't like that. So Game 3 rolls around. They're like,
Neato, that's what it
wait.
is. Also,
Wait,
this
we can
happened
sabotage
a
them.
week. Was this a week or a week and a half after the call to not have Worlds? It's like, man,
So it was a lot of
RL
anger.
Esports, you're really
No,
really
but-
dropping the ball
A
here. on
world thing
calls.
was a justified call.
There,
but-
there needs to be just like some sort of reworking of the presence of an admin, and maybe having one person be really focused on catering to coaches calls and stuff like that. Like there are
If coaches
solutions
were
for
allowed
this
in
in the
game, it'd be
future. This is-
fine.
I think a lot of people were like, fire somebody. It's like, this person can learn if they're willing to learn, and if they're willing to step up and be like, we fucked up, and then they can move on from it and become a better organization because of it. Because we all want to see Rocket League succeed. We don't want this stuff to be happening again, and we don't want to be made a mockery of in esports, because that's what happens. People see it and they're like, yikes, top Rocket League, and we're making these mistakes already. Like,
Oh
or
yeah, you had a
still,
lot
it's
of
just-
players and people going, "Oh yeah, tier 1 esport, by the way." But do you know, like, and again, comparing this to things, this comes a few days after. I don't know if you guys saw. This comes a few days after about the admin screwing up in the Valorant esports. You guys saw what
Remember
happened, right?
I saw
What
that, dude.
what
But that's
happened?
also
Okay,
the part of
so
the
a
UI's
team-
problem.
Yeah, it's a part of
Yeah.
the UI's problem, but it's ironic that it's two large esports having admin issues. The
Valorant
problem-
is newer though, so I think that they could get away with it a little bit better.
Oh no, but my point with it is that they handled it better.
Right.
So
Yeah.
what happened
also
is
true.
there was a Valorant match, like a competitive
Like
Valorant match,
mid-match.
and a team called for a tactical timeout, a tactical pause. It's called a tactical pause, and it's the admins who go in, and this is such a UI problem. I don't understand why this was ever a thing. The tactical pause button is right above the end match,
End
button.
game phase.
end game phase.
Yeah.
So the admin went to hit pause and ended.
and ended, and there's no warning. It just ended it. All
Which
the stats,
erases everything. Erases all the
Everything.
stats, all the money that people had, the weapons that they would have, the who was dead, who was alive, the killed, the
This is a shake
everything.
my head moment.
And the admins had to take the next 30 minutes, pause in the middle of a competitive match, and go into the UI and like manually put in
Plug everything in.
everything. Every stat.
That's the right
every
way to
feature.
do it.
But that was the right call.
How long would that
That's-
take for Rocket League?
So it was just a funny. It ended up being a
minute.
funny thing.
10
It ended
seconds.
up
That
being
would
a
have
funny,
taken-
Yeah, right?
lighthearted.
It would have taken
I still heard
nothing.
about it.
It would have
It's
taken
still
less than
generated some
deliberation
like, a
took.
little bit-
Yeah,
right?
honestly.
We've all seen how the admin menu, like when Johnny uses it or on different broadcasts.
Yeah,
when
they can't
when
hide it
There's
anymore.
literally a start from kickoff.
hmm
There's
You can change the score on a game. They have a nice UI for it too. It's not messed up like Valorant's. It's really clean. You just have to use it.
And you're
They're like,
telling
they
me
had their one
admins could
opportunity,
take
but
30
what they
minutes
didn't
to
use was
manually.
their fucking brains.
Or it was a kickoff anyway. They could have just started a new game and put first to one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's
Literally,
the
it
worst
wasn't
game
an
ever.
admin
admin could have set it up.
It wasn't like they had to. And even if they did, that's literally their job. That is their job. Like they had to plug in a bunch of stats because something got messed up. That would have to happen. They can't get around.
Aw.
Yeah.
I'd
So
just love to know who, like, or how many people made the decision.
Mhm.
Because
Well, I don't know.
there
what's
was
going on
this
here.
one
Let's see
meme.
this.
Oh my god, it was like admins when somebody disconnects from a match and it's like this guy's sleeping. It's like admins when somebody adds somebody in the Discord and he's like
it's like
wide
real
awake.
shit.
So
Yeah.
somebody
there
was
have
saying
been
that the
so many
admins
funny
weren't
ones.
around either when the
what?
That was
when-
like the big thing. Like they said like, oh, Chrome didn't type in time, and then there was this whole funny thing that like Chrome was like, honestly, I'm handicapped because I can't even type without looking at my keyboard, and then people made a bunch of Chrome memes.
Oh
Oh,
no, the
that was-
funniest
yeah,
tweet that
Joe's
came out.
tweet about
No. The
Nice.
funniest tweet about the entire thing is because for the first time in a long time, we saw a sad Arsenal tweet where it was like didn't bounce back or whatever, like or whatever. But
Didn't
then,
regain.
he came back in Arsenal fashion, and after a little bit, and after I assume like rage punching a keyboard, he tweeted and he goes, what's on, like basically on the good side of this is that instead of coaching us, Chrome's gonna spend, the next session spending 100 hours in like Type Racer, typing tutor or whatever to up
Eat
it
chicken
and work
pokes.
on his reaction time. And I paraphrased it a lot. Go to Arsenal's Twitter.
was pretty
But
good.
I just go to Twitter. Just go to Twitter. Like
Twitter knows what's up right now.
I
think that's why Twitter is my favorite social media. It has this like we can all be in like the same room experience, like we're all watching it on our computers and stuff like that, but the discussions and like will happen on to the side, like on Twitter. Like there's no immediate thing you can look on Instagram or I'm not gonna go swiping through people's stories to go and get the scoop. It's
Well,
just it
yeah,
pops up on your somebody's
I-
immediately thought about this one thing that you're all experiencing at the same
Yep.
time. So
Yeah, I think
It's
I
not
had this
biased.
conversation last week or so, but like it's the one social media that isn't something that's meant to be commented on. It's meant to be something that's engaged with. When it comes to Instagram or YouTube, and all of those things, those are social media platforms. Whilst you can have a conversation, it's weird.
harder.
It's
Yeah.
weird.
It's
Also, why
like-
would you be
yeah,
having
yeah.
just a random conversation in the comment section in YouTube? But
Yeah,
like
exactly.
it's
I know that happens
something.
on TikTok.
It's
A lot of people will get arguments with each other.
but all of those things, you're meant to comment on something that someone placed out for you. Twitter is not, you're not just, you know what I mean? You don't comment and go, you do. Like people share pics or stuff and they're like, oh, that's cool. But it's for conversations. Twitter is where you sit there and you go, oh, hey, what's your favorite this? And you can literally go through entire conversations with people. It's meant to be an engaged with and a get involved with platform. It's not something that you're not supposed to just
Yeah.
scroll.
It's like an online
the-
hub. Like if you were like, it's like where you go and people are just kind of saying their thoughts about things, and you can walk up to somebody and be like, I agree, and you can start a conversation with them and stuff like that. Whereas on other social medias like Instagram, it's like, there's like a piece of art or whatever, and people are just looking at it, walking by. There's like another dimension on Twitter than other social medias where there lacks that sort of
It's
dimension. I
also
don't
the
know, I
worst
just-
side. It's also the worst quality of Twitter as well, because people can just share opinions or whatever, and instead of being like, I agree, I disagree, people are like, here's the reason that does not involve me, and how dare you, how dare you. I like apple
Those
pie.
people I
You
just
know what?
can't. You don't.
Apple
I don't
pie
get in
killed
with those
my
people
family when I was
'cause
5.
They're lost. I'm like, you're lost, and I'll just mute them or block them. Like they don't know what's going on. And I'm just gonna save them from ever engaging with me again because we're not on the same intellectual level. They don't need to.
I'd like to
interact.
say something before we like leave the topic of all the controversy, because we will talk about other things, but I'd like to say something like very much. We all love Rocket League. Like
Mhm.
we all love Space Station Gaming. We all love the RLCS. We personally know the staff at Psionics and Rocket League and all of those things. That does not exclude us from having opinions. And we would not have opinions about all of this like so passionately if we didn't care about the game. You know, like there have been plenty of
Yep.
stupid stuff, and there have been plenty of things that came out. And I remember I was live during all of this, and I remember people being like, "Oh, Envy cheated," and just immediately going, "No, Envy did nothing wrong." You know what I mean?
Well-
Like that we don't have to tackle that in that aspect, but like in what happened in that moment, Envy did nothing wrong.
Wait, were they? Well, they were being like kind of.
They didn't call
about
for
it
it either.
afterwards.
They didn't address it either. They didn't.
No, I'm talking about the ping.
Yeah,
thing.
they didn't. There was a whole conversation about like they requested playing on different servers.
Okay,
Yo.
I'll take this one. I'll take this
Yeah,
one.
please do try because I'm a little lost and I'd like to
So
know.
Chrome also tweeted out about how like they memed about his typing ability, but then he tweeted out about how there needs to be like a ping tracker or something way of picking servers because all players of Envy are East Coast, and Reddles and Arsenal are also East Coast. Sypical lives in Louisiana, and the default server that if the two sides can't agree on which server they want, it will default to the Ohio server because that's the default. That's what RLCS has chosen as the default. So although it would benefit every single player on the field to play East Coast, Envy said they didn't want the East Coast server. They wanted to go with the default because they know personally that Sypical pings bad to the Ohio server. Like it's a known thing. And so even though it would help them with their ping and
So Envy's team lacked integrity in that sense.
yeah,
sounds
like
like
they
were willing
purposely
to take a little hit to
I didn't
make
know that.
Typical take a big hit. Basically.
yeah, because Sypical was DCing. And here's the thing. They took us to game 7 despite all the obstacles. And like when you have the most mechanical player on the field, like constantly at 90 ping and then spiking to whatever the hell it wanted.
How come
It's
Envy
like-
had the final say on what the server was?
It's not that Envy had the
Both
final
teams
say.
have
It's
to
that they didn't
agree.
want the East Coast server. And because the teams couldn't agree on which server they wanted, it defaults to the RLCS default, which is Ohio.
So they purposely. What if they tested? Did they test and have better ping on the East Coast server?
They
No,
just
they-
know
they don't
from
do the
history
test.
what players have good ping to what server.
yeah, they just
feel
knew
like,
that.
I mean, obviously this is like there's a schedule. You got to keep things going, but like that. Yeah, I mean, if that's a
Competitive
known thing-
integrity.
The other thing is, it's not only that Sypical's like the most mechanical player, but with this new like SSG like strategy that they've got going, Sypical's like the backbone of the team, and he's always the one getting like the create like the perfect first touches to outplay the opponents.
Mhm.
And if his ping just suddenly spikes and he mistouches it, like that's a big
Yeah.
part of their gameplay. Just
That's
Because at
kind of-
first I
that's
wasn't
kind of
salty about
concerning.
Envy at all, but then I was like, that's actual. Like I understand if I'm like if somebody challenges me to a 1v1 and I want to pick the server that's closer to me, like I get that's it's like it's a
This is
but
RLCS.
this is like competitive. Like
I
this
feel
is
like
this
that's
is
a little concerning though. Like, how can you prevent that from happening if you know personally as a team and you're like, okay, like obviously you can't control people's integrity and you can't be like this is right, this is wrong, but how can you control a team that will do anything to win? Like you're gonna do anything to win. You're gonna if you know that there's a person on the team that won't benefit from being on certain servers, and they take that
Well-
opportunity. Like, how can you keep that from happening?
well,
mean, the-
Chrome was saying that there's on other esports there's there's a ping test before.
Yeah,
And
I feel
it
like
doesn't
that's definitely needs to be
There's
implemented. 'Cause
also They
I
also,
can't say that they did it purposefully, but
Can I?
like the teams veto different servers on other games as well. So there's like a way broader range of servers
What's up, Brand?
on other games.
Yeah.
I wanted to bring
That's
something
all-
up.
I-
I
I
just saw on
guess, but-
Twitter.
yeah.
Are we allowed to talk about other podcasts? I don't care. So
Yeah.
apparently, for the First Touch podcast that's on the RL Rocket League channel, they're going to be talking about the SSG drama too. So
Oh, good.
this is going to be on the Rocket League channel. They're going to be addressing this crap. So if
Yeah.
they better have similar opinions to
I've
ours,
been
or I'll be
told that they might
salty,
not
If
address it.
they monkey around
right?
and say
Like, oh, it's fine.
anything other than
Chat's gonna
agreeing with
be-
the
Oh no
Chat's
no no
gonna
no no!
call
Red,
them out.
Reddles and Chrome and them were on on talking on T-Bait's stream last night.
oh yeah,
Immediately
what is the
following.
stream?
I don't think that they would alter their competitive integrity either.
Maybe this is way of Psionics thinking, right, we can get others to address the situation for us. So we
Do you
don't
think they have more
Somebody with
information
a
than we do?
charming face.
There's no way.
Yeah.
Daz smiles.
Well, it's
We'll
an
have
easy
to
way
see.
out, innit?
You know,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Monday
we'll
comes
check
out.
that out. We'll check that out.
We'll have to see,
Um,
and then we'll see.
It's gonna have a lot of viewers, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's gonna be tuning in.
But speaking
Oh,
of
gosh.
controversial things happening in Rocket League, there was also a very controversial thing that happened with the winner of the Gift Your Game prize. And if this
Was
is
this like
if
the
this
goal
is
of the
an-
year thing?
Yeah, this was the
Yeah.
goal of the year event and won. The comment section to Gift Your Game has been a cesspool this entire run, and
It
all of
always
you
is.
need to
It's
get a
mean
life.
every year.
Horrible.
The second you add it,
every
the second
year.
you add, like, people are always mean about people's clips being cool or not, but typically Twitter is a place that is a little bit more wholesome than Instagram and stuff until you start adding money to these people's clips. And when you start to say that a clip earned somebody like, you know, $4,000 or $2,000, the jealousy
jealousy.
seeps out of their pores and onto their keyboards of their phones. And I just know, like, there was all this stuff happening over like fourth place, and like it was this kid who really deserved it. It was a really cool shot, but people thought it should have been something fancier or whatever. And then the comment section so much was ripping him apart that Sunless and Gift Your Game and so many others were like, you know what, I'm gonna add on to your prize pool, you deserve this more. So wholesomeness. But then it came to, they announced the first place. They announced the first place winner at $8,000 for a really cool shot. It was really cool. There were all these arguments that it was fake or that it wasn't, and then it got proved that it was real and everything. But at the root of it, he was a toxic little shit. He was a
And
offensively toxic little
let
shit.
me premise this, like, yeah, this isn't like somebody who is bantering, somebody calling people trash in game, telling them they're bad, blah blah blah. He was threatening people's lives and saying pretty much the worst that you can say on the internet because he thought he could get away with it, you know. And people have video evidence of this happening, so that is what caused Gift Your Game to take a step back and take away his prize pool, but
they did it. They did it so wonderfully.
I mean, this kid was obviously like has mentality issues, and they took it upon themselves to be like, hey, this is a learning experience for you. And I think that the owner of Gift Your Game actually reached out to him personally, or one of the top guys there, and they decided to work it out so that he can like do something with his talent. It does frustrate me when I see kids in esports, young adults in esports that hinder all the talent that they have because they don't know how to express themselves or their anger and stuff like that. And that's why I feel like esports teams should really advocate for having like a mental health person
Coach.
on the job, a therapist that they were required to go to and talk with, because sometimes it's hard to work through those emotions if you've never been told how to. Like,
Yep.
you just take it out on your video games, like, and nobody in your house tells you that that's the wrong thing to do, because if you're not getting mad at them, then you're getting mad at a virtual game, then that's fine. But it's not, because they're actually talking to real people in real life, and it just affects so many
Yeah.
things. So
Well, what I'm sick of is seeing people be like, well, you know, it just happens. It just happens. You know, like you spend that much time in a toxic environment, and you spend thousands of hours doing that, and the internet breeds it. And if you stay off the internet, Ranny has more hours than all of us. He's almost at 10K hours in Rocket League, thousands of hours in other video games, one of the, you know, high level in all of this. And you're never toxic to anyone. Like you joke around, but like, you're not.
He's GLHF at the beginning of every match. That's toxic as
no,
heck.
but like, yeah, I'd love to hear your opinion on it, Ranny, because so many people are just like, it's a part of the Rocket League community. You have more hours than most people. Like
So one of the reasons that I'm never toxic to people, and people are gonna call me a softie, the reason that I'm not toxic to people is because no matter who you're talking to, there's someone behind that keyboard going through crap in real life. They probably have really bad, you know, parenting problems. Like their parents are probably going through shit, which makes them go through shit. Everyone has some amount of stress that is attributing to how you're feeling and how you're going to be acting to other people. So even if you know it's not the right thing to tell someone to die or something messed up like that, you're not going to care if you are in the depths of hell in your mind from, you know, getting beaten by your parents, or, you know, not being able to eat 3 meals a day, you know, getting bullied at school. These kids are really young, and there's not really much you can, like, you can blame them, because I'm sure they should know better. But
It's
also,
a
some
really
people are just
tough
assholes, so, you know, fuck them.
Right. Like there's definitely, you can tell there are people who have, but that's the thing. They are assholes, but they obviously
There's usually a
probably
reason
went
for
through
it.
something.
yeah,
It's very
that
rare for there
made them
not to
that
be a
way.
reason.
That's-
So I'm never mean to
never
people
wanna
the first time I
contribute
meet
to
them. I'm
Yeah.
like, you know, if you're just being an asshole because you're an asshole and there's not a good reason for it, that's when I'm mean to someone. But I'm never actually rude back to people. I'm always like, yo, I'm sorry if you're going through some shit. I hope it gets better.
on his
You know
main
what I mean?
account, Ranny ran into my stream like 4 days ago because some kid told me to kill myself, took the controller and just started clapping the kid.
That was funny.
That's good content.
That's a good boyfriend.
That's some good content.
No,
right
it was amazing. No, it was amazing. But you know what like ticks me off about the whole thing though? It's like we just talked about how like we all love like the oh my god, Twitter impressions like inject me. But like
Whoa.
I've been on
That was almost just as sus as the stuff we said
no,
before we started recording.
no, but no. But like, you know, we love to like get involved in things, but like with the things the things that we're posting and stuff on Twitter and stuff are like calling it out, and like we weren't responding to Rocket League's tweets and going, oh my god, you guys are so stupid, like what the hell is wrong with you, horrible decisions, like fire everyone, like no brain, no life, like all of this stuff. What gets me like in a direct comparison is like people were calling out like the kid who lost the $8,000 for being toxic, and he had said some horrible things. What makes you any different when you're responding to him in the comments going, maybe you should go do that to yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you should this is what you deserve. I hope you never get back into the scene and all of this stuff. That's just as bad.
Yeah.
It's just as bad.
It's not gonna
There
fix
was
anything.
only one funny response to his entire tweet that I laughed at, and that I think is funny, and that I don't think was horribly offensive. And it was because, you know, like the Cotton 4K, somebody goes Cotton 8K. They go, oh wait, you don't have that anymore. And then, no, but like there were people in his responses going, you're the type of person to say that, why don't you go do it to yourself? Like, and no, you are a horrible person, and you don't, if you're saying that he doesn't deserve anything, if you're saying that he doesn't deserve anything for saying it, then you don't either. Like, it does not make you better. And like that's the problem with the accountability, but then also the toxicness that breeds from all of this, is because people think like you can't simultaneously hold somebody accountable for being hateful and offensive, and that by being hateful and offensive to that, and I don't know where that disconnect is. And people are like, oh well, they got called out about it, so I have a right to throw it back at them. We're never gonna get better. There isn't a righteous time to like be hatefully offensive to somebody. No,
The other thing to take it to think about as well is that it's not just they're not just directly being hateful
God.
back to him. Oh, they're not just being hateful back to him. Just on a normal day, he's just gone from like having the highest high to then having the lowest low, and then they're
Yeah.
being even more hateful. So it's
like let him just learn from it. Like he
Right.
tweeted that morning and he was like, "This is the greatest day of my life." And then
Like,
after
can you
it
imagine
happened,
like what other stuff that happens in his life that leads him to feel this way and stuff like that,
Yeah,
where his
exactly.
accomplishment
and
was
yeah,
that big
he
for him?
he did the
You
he
know.
did the typical Rocket League thing. He went black profile picture. He changed his name to a dot. Which he stop this, children.
Yeah, I mean, people can meme
but,
that
like,
all
he
they want, but
he
it's just like
yeah,
a lot
he
of people
tweeted
think, like,
bye.
the internet is a lot of these kids' worlds. Like they've
Mhm.
grown up like being a presence online. Like a lot of us have time offline, whatever, but a lot of these
What's
kids,
that
like younger kids, like they hold a lot of their self-worth with the presence they're online. When that gets taken away from them, it could make them feel like that's it. You know, my life is meaningless, and
Mhm.
you know, so it's important to remind
Yeah.
people that like you can come back and you can like reform yourself, but you have to do that work. You have to take
Yeah.
time for yourself. You have to step away. You have to make steps to make yourself better, and then you can come back and when you have a healthier perspective. But
And I
if
also
you,
think that
yeah, it's tough.
what
Yeah.
people need to learn is one of the biggest things you can do to retract from and like eliminate shitty behavior. Like the kid was a little shit. He said horrible things and all of that. The best thing you could do to that is not engage with him at all. Let him know that you're not going to associate with him. Let him know that he's not going to get likes on his clips and no one's going to care about what he does in Rocket League if he's being a horrible person. You know what I mean? But instead, because at least like there are people who like obviously get really upset when people make those comments about them and all of that, but there's also a lot of people online, especially in gaming communities, in the Rocket League community, and in every community, because if you think Rocket League's the most toxic community in the world, let me introduce you to a couple esports. But like the worst thing there is that there are people who thrive for that. Because you know, like how I made the joke of, oh my god, engagements on Twitter, like any response to anything hateful that they say, they thrive off of, and they want your responses and they want you to say more things so that they can respond to and so that they can blow up, because they have nothing better to do and you're giving them something to respond for. Like we talked about Richard Lewis a few weeks ago on this podcast. That is a person who wants your responses. His career is built off of your responses and he has all the time in the world to respond to all of them. The best thing you can do when you want people to
Just not
stop
engage.
being like that is don't engage with them. Show
I
them that
didn't
that's
tweet
not
a
gonna
single
get your
thing
clicks.
at him. I'm not blocked by him, and that's
Same.
how you know
Me too.
that
yeah.
you don't.
Yeah, like
You don't. I never feed the trolls. I have my chat. The other day I was streaming. I had my chat on playing ones, and I just didn't. It was my first game. Of course, this guy's losing by 2. He starts what is saving me, and then I'm just like, ugh. So I mute it. I lose. I was having a bad mental day anyway, so I lose after being up. Right. He comes in my chat and he's like, GG, sorry for being toxic. I'm like, are you really though? I was like, are you really though? Are you really sorry for being toxic? He's like, sorry. The what if saves are how I get my anger out or whatever. I'm like, just go to therapy. I literally was just like, just
Yep.
go to therapy, my guy. And like, you don't have to take it out on people on the internet, right? It's just one of those things where you could have just said GG's, whatever. But he's sorry for being toxic. It's like, you're not sorry. Like you do that to everybody you run into, I'm sure. And
I will
you just had
say
the opportunity to apologize
sorry
to me
I'm
because
being
streaming.
toxic is a little bit better than coming into your chat and being like, you fucking suck.
No. Obviously, not a horrible interaction, but I wanted to tell him upright, like, dude, I don't think you're actually sorry. I think that was funny for you in some way, and that's fine. I get that, but like, you can come in here and say, GG's, don't lie to my face. I know you're not sorry. Like, you have to work through that shit elsewhere. You know, I don't get that. I get upset, and I internalize that kind of stuff, but it's just it depends on life experiences, I guess. I just don't see the points in ever like I don't know. It's baffling to me. That's why it's frustrating at the same time. When I see people doing it, I'm just like, what's going on? Like, how is that logical? Like, what are you doing? I just want to like take these people on the shoulders and be like, what are you doing? We're just playing a game, man. This is just cars and balls, man. It's just cars and balls, and that's it.
Just cars and balls.
It's not that serious. So I hope that I'm all for Bancho, whatever, what it saves, and it's fine, right? But just it's that when it gets to, it turns into that like real toxicity that ends up affecting people in real life, and that's what I don't stand for. So.
And when it goes unchecked and when it goes unaddressed, these are when everything is back to normal and everyone is full force in school and, and in all of these places and in work, like that's the behavior that's eventually going to start seeping into their everyday lives. And it's just going to breed a generation of people who are assholes, and also a generation of people who think that you hold somebody accountable by being even more of an asshole. And you're going to have people like us doing podcasts and yelling at you and reminding you.
Woo! Dude, I think about that all the time. Like, I wouldn't be able to keep track of anybody's time on the internet. I don't keep track of my own time on the internet. And then they're just like feeding into like all these horrible things that I'll see and read. I can't imagine growing up in this day and age, Sheesh. Sheesh. I just can't. That's a lot though to cover in this podcast.
I'm drained. I'm emotionally drained.
This is a lot, yeah. I mean, it's important to talk about though. Competitive integrity on both sides, being an admin, running stuff, and on the esports side of things, and as the players, having that integrity in game, and just there's a reason why esports is not on a world level, and a part of that is
this was one step closer.
Integrity.
This was like a controversial NFL call.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Like,
right. It's controversial NFL call, but then it's the responses and stuff like that you see from the pros themselves. Like, there is a disconnect from, because they're young people, because the people that are the greatest at the game at the time are generally, they have their young minds and they're younger people. But at the same time, it's hard to hold them accountable like professionals in the NFL because they're so young, and like that's where esports is kind of falters on a world level, especially for upcoming esports, because the pros are so young that I just hope it changes and that we can see like esports, because it's going to be just as big as the like sports
NFL.
that we see, right? Like in NFL, FIFA, whatever, but it's going to take a lot longer when there are people on the outside seeing these, like, they're
and for the Rocket League community, to any of you very young pro players who think that this behavior is also good, it's also going to take a maturity jump, because nobody's going to want to be putting your platform on like a global like sponsored level. If you're just a bunch of babies who are hateful and offensive and saying a bunch of things. Here's the thing. When NBA players, when professional soccer players, football, and all of these players, they say something hateful, they take the repercussions for it. They get fined. They literally they
lose sponsors.
They lose sponsors. Yeah. They drop them. And you got to be able to hold the consequences for it. Try you're muted.
Try you're muted.
Yep.
Oops.
Yep.
Oh,
yep.
No.
I was wondering why he was being so quiet.
If you're watching a YouTube video right now, you see his mouth moving all fervorously, like.
I was wondering why he was being so quiet the last while.
Right? What? Oh, is your mic just dead? F.
Uh-oh.
Oh, he's gone.
No more Trihouse.
No more Trihouse.
He's so sad right now. Everybody comment something so Tri will feel better on YouTube.
No input from Trihouse. This is what you get for being bad at Rocket League. No, but I'm kidding, guys. I'm literally the lowest ranked person here, and that was just talking about not being toxic.
That's low. That's low. No. He can't even defend himself.
No.
time now. Actually,
Come
You
always
can't-
down.
Yeah, no.
What
but-
other try roast do I have?
But like this was an example of somebody in Rocket League. Like we talked about an example of somebody in Rocket League being held accountable for the things that they say online. And if we want Rocket League to be a tier 1 esport, I know the memes and I know that everything came. Rocket League is a tier 1 esport. We're doing big things. Rocket League is growing. But if you want to be a part of it, and if you want to be a part of these big sponsors and these big orgs, and if you want your dreams to come true, and if you want Rocket League to be bringing in more money, that comes from sponsors. And if you want, it comes from recognition, and that does not come to you if you are saying horrible things online. You won't be a part of it, and you won't get to cry about it on Twitter and get people to take you back for it. It'll be done and it'll be over. And if you don't want that, don't be a shitty little human being. That's it. That's all.
It's gonna take a lot. I think it's gonna take a lot of work.
Uh-oh.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Echo, try. We can hear ourselves. Oh, it's fixed.
I can hear myself.
Wait, how could you?
I can hear you now.
Oh,
We
great.
hear
There
you,
you
Try.
go.
Welcome back to the end of the
Fun.
podcast.
Yay.
I was
You
wondering
guys
why
can
you were
hear
being
me?
so quiet for a while.
I don't know what was going on. I was looking up the Get Your Game drama because I didn't know anything about it. But yeah, I was agreeing with what you were saying, Widow. Like, you don't, if an NFL player told somebody to kill themselves, they would immediately lose so much money.
Yeah.
We're not talking
All their
$8,000. We're talking like $80,000, $800,000.
Yeah, and then he would have
like,
to.
It's like a
You
lot
have
of,
to
like,
take the steps to. Yeah.
hate speech that's going on as well. The like if a pro player in a real life sport starts like dropping racial slurs and stuff, they're getting cancelled.
They're gone.
Mhm.
Yeah.
so-
yeah.
Like
It's the
so many
same
people
thing.
are like, well, I popped back and I don't understand all the repercussion. No, like for things that are that wildly offensive, it's not just saying I'm sorry and moving on. You got to take the consequences for it. You've got to go out and pay your dues, and you've got to go out and become a better person. And that's not an apology tweet and a twit longer going, hey, 6 months ago I was in a bad place.
Yeah.
We're all in a bad place. We're all living in a global pandemic.
Mhm.
We all play the video game. We all get mad at the video game. And, a lot of us have had shitty upbringings. Everyone is going through their own stuff here, and it doesn't give you a right to be a hateful, horrible human being. And to those of you commenting on it, it doesn't give you a right to be hateful back to them.
All of our listeners are pure and beautiful.
You
though, so
you guys are beautiful, and I hope
send
that
this
you
to somebody who needs to hear it.
yeah. You beautiful souls. Before we wrap up, before Neato outros us in a glorious fashion, I would like to tease something to you. We need you right now to go follow our Twitter. I know we've talked about Twitter a lot, but it was all leading to this. SSG Scuffcast on Twitter. We have a very, very, very big announcement coming out in a couple days.
Huge.
A very huge no trauma. A very huge announcement coming out in a couple days that this isn't something small, and it's not something overhyped. It is something game changer for the Scuffed Cast, and I think that you guys are going to love. And if you made it this far, go at us on Twitter. Go at us on Twitter like after this to this tweet and drop some eyeballs looking sus, because we want to know that you guys are ready and that you guys are excited. We got really big things coming out.
Also, just like to preface that, like, thank you guys for listening every week, because we wouldn't be able to have these opportunities going for us if we didn't have weekly listeners. So thank you guys
You're
so much.
beautiful.
It's been a really great run. I mean, I honestly can't believe we're 20x episodes in. I don't remember what episode this is.
This is
But-
season 2, episode 9.
9. Okay, so we're almost to freaking. That's insane to think that we're almost to 30 episodes. And I can't wait to see where it takes us. So before we wrap these up, again, please go and follow the socials at SSG Scuffcast, at anchor.fm/SSG Scuffcast if you want to listen, and any other place. We love the feedback always, so please keep it coming, friends, and we'll catch you guys next week. Bye.
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 Deuces.
Bye.